Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review would be Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's get into it. So, this it's gonna come down to with this movie is whether you like DC or not, whether you think Shazam is a cool character or not. That's what it comes down to. Because, with the big shakeup with James Gunn taking over the DCU, that is DC Comics version of the MCU, like Marvel. So a lot of changes is happening. Like they're supposed to recast everyone, not everyone, but some of the main characters, like The Rock for Black Adam, Wonder Woman, and Superman. So that's like major characters, of course, with the Flash aspect, what that actor did. So we don't got to get into that. So this movie, as I'm gauging the movie, I think the budget was anywhere from 100 to 125 million. If Black Adam didn't do that well in the box office, I don't see how this one is going to do. I think it's going to flop as well. But I could be wrong. It remains to be seen. So let's just go over the cast. You got Zachary Levi, who plays as the main character Shazam. Asher Angel plays as Billy Batson, which is the kid version of Shazam. Jack Dylan Grazer plays as Freddie Freeman. Rachel Zegler plays as Athea, which is one of the daughters of Atlas. You'll hear about that. Adam Brody plays the superhero Freddie. Ross Butler plays the superhero Eugene. DJ Catrona plays the superhero Pedro. Grace Caroline Carey plays as Mary Bromfield plus superhero Mary. And Megan Good plays the superhero Darla. Lucy Liu plays as Calypso. She's like the main villain in this movie. She's also one of the sisters of Atlas. Dejmon Huso plays as the Wizard. And Helen Mirren plays as Hespera, which is the oldest sister of the Daughters of Atlas. So let's get into the storyline. This storyline picks up where now the Shazam crew, or everybody got their powers, but they're off into their own thing. Meanwhile, Shazam, Billy Batson, he wants them to unify and be more of a family aspect, of course, because he was rejected from his father and mother. He grew up in group homes, so this is his chance to have a family. He want to get all that family bonding time, but of course they were always already together in a group home, so they off trying to do their own thing, especially with their new powers. And they have a big they made a pact that no one is supposed to go use their powers on their own. They only use their powers together and work as a team. So there's a big scene on the bridge, and this is supposed to look like the bridge, and I think this is based in Philadelphia. And they all show up. The bridge still collapses, but there were no casualties, so they got a chance to save all the people. But the bridge still collapsed, and it just shows them working together and using their powers, introducing them, each one using their powers to save the people on the bridge. And then still their house mother and father doesn't know that they are superheroes. They just keep seeing lightning bolts come in the house, and they think it's something, house is cursed or whatever, and there's something wrong. Meanwhile, they've been experimenting. They got their own like superhero lair within the walls, the secret doors through the Shazam temple, or how you say, they could go through doors and end up in the Shazam temple. That's where they talk business in their superhero form. Anybody that's in the comics is familiar with the lair that they go into, and these lair leads to different through different doors and dimensions. And of course, because they don't work as a unit, other ones experiment more than the other, experiment more within the lair and know more about it. And they end up finding out that throughout the movie, one of the superheroes found out that through another dimension door, there's a pencil that writes, and you could talk to it, and it writes and give them backstories and information. Meanwhile, while this is going on, you have the daughters of Atlas. So it is believed that the Atlas god, lost his powers, and that's how it triggered that staff that in Shazam 1 that Shazam broke in half. That staff used to be Atlas staff, and so the god Atlas staff. And we know the villain from part 1 had that staff. Of course, Shazam beat him, broke the staff. Now this staff is now in the museum somewhere. So it's 3 daughters of Atlas. However, 2 only show up, and the third, we don't know that at the time. You don't know who the third is, but the first 2 show up, which is played by Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren. And so that's Hespera and Calypso. They show up in the museum. They both touch the staff, and it rejuvenates their powers, instantly turning everybody into the museum into like rock. And they, of course, die. Now, they're working on getting this apple that, of course, is in the lair of Shazam. This apple, once they put it into the ground, it flourishes into a tree. So there's a lot of backstory that's going on throughout this movie, and it could take you down a rabbit hole to figure it all out. Nevertheless, when the daughters of Atlas get their powers, you find out that Thea, who's been playing as a student in school that goes to Billy Madison school, and she taking a liking to Freddie, and Freddie takes a liking to her. Now she's actually 6,000 years old, but she's still in a kid's form, and so she takes this liking to Freddie, but the whole time she really knows who Freddie is, and she uses him to get to Shazam. And with their powers, what they could do is take the Shazam's powers and make them just human again. And so that happens to everybody but Shazam throughout the movie. The wizard resurfaces. He's been in prison. He resurfaces. They find a way to get him out. And it comes down to the end where Shazam has to sacrifice himself to defeat the daughters of Atlas. Now, Athena, which is the youngest one, or Thea, I was right the first time. She already turns tide to try to help them. So her sister Calypso took her powers. Then the oldest sister, she wants the right things to be done with the power. She wants the power, but she wants the right things to be done with the power. Calypso is more like, no, I want the power, and we're going to take over their world. So Hespera used before she died, she used her last bit of power to help Shazam defeat her sister. Meanwhile, Shazam sacrificed himself and killed himself to save the world. Upon him dying, only the staff, they gave him Shazam like a burial, and only way he could be brought back to life is a god has to recharge the staff that could heal thing. So Wonder Woman shows up. Now there was a dream that Shazam had, and that he was dating Wonder Woman. But nevertheless, Wonder Woman shows up at the end of the movie. She is a demigod slash god, and she charges the staff up, which brings Shazam back to life. And the whole movie, he was wondering, well, what's my superhero name? And they just told him the superhero name is Shazam. And so he's flirting with Wonder Woman, and she pretty much blow him off, like, stick to your little kid, stick to saving people or whatever. And she walks off. There's two post-credit scenes. One with the Justice Society, which whatever John Cena's character is. What is his character with the big dumb helmet? Whatever group he's part of, that's the group that is there to recruit Shazam. Now he thought they were going to mention Justice League, but when they say Justice Society, he's making jokes and pretty much saying, why would y'all make your name right after Justice League? Like, it's too close, and now it really shows everybody like you're the B Squad. So he got some jokes with that, and that was the first trailer. And the second trailer is from the trailer of I said the second trailer, the second post credit scene. If you remember the part one, the first in the post credit scene, it shows a guy in jail. He's writing all these things on the wall. Nevertheless, the main villain is supposed to be Mr. Mind, and Mr. Mind is going to develop into this big caterpillar flying looking thing and be like a strong villain. And so right now in jail, he's like this little centipede looking thing that's supposed to blossom into something else. So that's going to be a villain down the road. Now I drew a blank on what what John Cena's character was. Peacemaker. So Peacemaker, the group he's part of, Justice Society. Now they recruiting Shazam for that Justice Society. Now, in the comic world, Shazam and Black Adam joined forces to beat Mr. Mind, but now that Black Adam's character is removed, I don't know how they're gonna play that out. So James Gunn come from Marvel. We know Marvel's setup has always, like, they tie a lot of things together. They build you up for a bunch of movies and then put it together and boom. So James Gunn is supposed to be like the Kevin Feige of, like, what Kevin Feige is to MCU. James Gunn is supposed to be that to DCU. So we'll see how it play out. I think they could redo the Black Adam character without actual movie if they do the things like Marvel do, where they do series on Disney Plus and then let it translate to the movie. That's what HBO Max could do. They could rebuild certain characters through HBO Max through a series and then bring them to the big screen. So they could rebuild the Black Adam character. And what you do is just rebuild them through a series on HBO Max and with a new Black Adam, if that's the route they're going to go, and rebuild it that way. So I think they could be creative. Fun fact, what Shazam means. Shazam is, the name comes from, like, the gods of the gods' power. So the Shazam is an acronym, and you got the S stands for the wisdom of Solomon God. The H stands for the strength of Hercules. The A stands for the courage of Achilles. The Z stands for the power of Zeus. The A stands for the stamina of Atlas. What we this movie was about that got defeated, lost his power. And the M stands for the speed of Mercury. So that's a fun fact for this to know what Shazam stands for if you went to it. Other than that, out of my 4-star rating system, I give this movie a 2.5 out of 4 stars. 2.5. I kept debating how high I could go and how low. So it was, it had storyline, it had action. It's just that I guess if you are into the whole DC comic world and really into it, you probably rate it higher. Because many of us might not be. We're picking up the pieces and trying to figure it out as we go along. It doesn't resonate with us as much because MCU has done a way better job to pull you into the storylines and give you more. So, and plus what you got DCU rebooting, that just, this movie could be null and void if they go in a different direction for everything. So nevertheless, 2.5 out of 4 stars. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Till next time.